Welcome to Networking RX, a podcast devoted to helping business professionals like you enhance your networking skills in order to become more proficient giving and receiving quality business referrals and improving the overall quality of your life and the lives of those around you. The Networking RX podcast is a production of AmSpirit Business Connections, an organization whose mission is to empower business success through networking.
For those who have not followed my story, that's okay, but let me just share a little bit. I live in Columbus, Ohio, came here to go to law school, have a law degree, have an MBA from Ohio State, started my career in public accounting as a tax consultant. Great job, great everything. Didn't want to do taxes forever, left, I'm giving you the very shorthanded version. Left and went into private practice, trying to figure out just what my next step would be. It was a confusing time for me. But I'm starting this law practice, and it initially started out of my house and then found a small office to rent. But I'm trying to grow the law practice, and I'm trying to get out, and it's not easy. Anybody who's in business, whatever business, it's not easy. It's never easy. But I'm trying to be agreeable, and one of the things I did early on was I said, okay, free initial consultation. Meaning, you know what, let's just talk. I would spend an hour with people. And, to me, it kind of made sense to give people a sense as to what I was about, let them, see my rapport and what I might say about their problems. And a lot of times it really worked out. It did. Gave people a level of comfort, and they became long-term clients for, as long as I practiced, which wasn't a terribly long time, to be honest, maybe only about 10 years, all in all. But at any rate, there was one particular individual, I remember him well, don't remember his name, but I remember the situation. But in his mind, it was every time I have a new question, I get a free initial consultation. And that pattern became very clear to me. It became very clear to me and he lived very close to where my office was, that he would just call and just, hey, what do you got going? Well, if I'm answering the phone, I'm not with a client, right? And I could put my pen down or put the computer, put the computer to sleep and have a conversation, and he would just drive over and just show up. And I wouldn't want to have these conversations about whatever. And it was annoying because it was very clear that he really didn't want to pay for anything. And that bothered me. It really started to grate on me. And I remember where it all ended was one time he just showed up and I just kind of waited. I just stood at the door. I wasn't going to let him in. I mean, it wasn't mean about it, but it's like, hey, what question do you have? And he kind of got the message. Now, while for years I liked to say, okay, this guy was kind of a bad actor, but in reality, I was the one to blame. I really was, because I allowed that behavior to happen. And I've noticed through the years, other people I know who are in the private practice of law or have law practices or involved in law practices, is that they've adopted I'm not going to give a free consultation. I'm not going to sit somebody down and spend 15 minutes of my time, giving them answers. Those answers have value to them, and they're going to meet with me, then they're going to pay for that. And those people, and my feeling would be, oh my gosh, that little nicety, you're not giving somebody that little nicety, that must really impair their practice. And it didn't at all. People who valued what they had were going to pay for what they offered, plain and simple. And that was just the culture that they set, and it works. Really what I'm driving at today, the conversation with respect to our network, is about being too nice. And is it possible to be too nice? And I think the answer is obviously yes. It's possible not to be nice enough. I mean, I think there's a Goldilocks zone there where you just have to draw the line and say, okay, enough. I'm not going to give unlimited free consultations. I should have made it clear, or it's only 15 minutes, or it's only going to be on the phone. And I realize this is all in the you might say, well, this really has nothing to do with networking. It really has everything to do with good business practice. And there's an argument there for that. But we also set ourselves up with respect to dealing with our networks to create expectations, right? And it might not be a free initial consultation, but you might have that person in your network that every time something's not going well, they're going to be reaching out to you. And they're going to want you to pick up the phone whenever they call. Well, why didn't you take my call? And I've noticed through the years that there are people who will just set boundaries. Listen, I don't respond to email between these times. Or I guess a better way of putting it is people will, they'll have an autoresponder. Listen, I got your email, came in. I will respond between 1 and 2 and 5 and 6. That's when I'm going to respond. Just to create an expectation. And not being so, hey, you got time for lunch today? We need to talk. You know what? I'm busy, and to be able to kind of set those boundaries. The reality is that there's a cost to being nice or agreeable, if you will, because if you're saying yes to something, you're saying no to something else. And if you're saying no to something, you're just allowing yourself the ability to say yes to the things that you want. And when you're putting other people before the things that you need, the time, so on and so forth, you certainly rob yourself of your own resources, your own time. I mean, I think that's pretty simple. And you need to set these boundaries on the front end. Like, you know what, I'm in business too, or I have a life too. And you don't even need to say these things. You just need to be part of your own mindset. You know, I need to be fulfilled. I need to feel happy in my business. I need to, I need something out of a networking relationship. And I'm not talking about being quid pro quo, but if it's constant that somebody is always really kind of taking, if you will, and there are people out there that, business is a little down. I was talking to somebody the other day. They were sharing this exact story with me, that this person always contacts them when things are a little down. And hey, I really need some referrals. Can you give me some referrals? Like the person has an endless supply of referrals. And what the person seeking the referrals is basically saying, you know what? When I'm busy, you don't matter to me. You don't matter to me at all. But I need something now, so can you come through for me, buddy? And that's great once or twice, but as time goes on, and again, I'm not advocating being quid pro quo. Hey, I've done something for you. You need to do something for me. But if the only time you're going to be in my life is when you need something, then I really don't need you in my life. You know, um, and there are really lots of aspects. Um, there are really lots of aspects to that. The reality is that people want us to be decent, but they shouldn't expect maximum kindness from us, right? I mean, there's again the Goldilocks zone. Don't be a total jerk. And I don't think going to somebody in business and saying, listen, I don't give free consultations. I could spend my whole day doing 15-minute consultations with people and going bankrupt. I have a business to pay for. Likewise, I can't devote my life to having 15-minute fire up conversations with you when you're feeling down or you need a referral or whatever it is, or you're handheld at this networking event. I have things that I need to do as well. And so you can't, if you're going to maximize kindness, you're just going to build up resentment. Um, and by building up resentment, it doesn't serve anybody. It certainly doesn't serve you. So the reality is this: as you work with your network, as you build your network, as you interact with people, is certainly be kind, be agreeable, be, be that person who's pleasant to be around, but you're allowed to have boundaries. It's totally okay to have boundaries, and it's totally okay if someone is not happy with the boundaries you set. Chances are they're the ones who are being unreasonable, if you will, and they just need to, they just need to get over it. You don't need to explain it to them necessarily. Just say, you know what, I have lots of people in my life. I have to serve lots of things. I have, only so much time, just like you, and I have expenses, and I have this, and I have this, and I have this, and these are the boundaries that I've set. And as long as you're comfortable with it and consistent about it and fair in administering it, hey, go for it.
Thanks for joining us on the Networking RX podcast. Please put what you've learned into action today and let us know if you have questions, comments, or ideas for future topics. You can email them to us at podcast@amspirit.com. That's AmSpirit.com. Finally, so you never miss an episode, be sure to subscribe to the Networking RX podcast through iTunes, Overcast, or however you receive your podcasts. Now get out and network with someone.
The Networking RX podcast is the copyright production of AmSpirit Business Connection. All rights reserved.